What is up, people? Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Cup Chasers Daily. That's right, it's your daily dose of my thoughts on the Premier League and the greater outside world of football, everything going on. There was a ton that happened yesterday, plenty to sink my teeth into. Of course, the World Cup is set. But we've spoken plenty on that, and we will speak plenty more on that this evening in the regularly scheduled programming for the Cup Chasers podcast. So go ahead and smash up the likes on this one. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. It would be an honor, a pleasure, a privilege to welcome you to the community. And of course, I want to know what you're thinking about the Chelsea madness in that comments section down below. All right, let's jump right into this one. I'm sure you are aware, have seen, have perhaps looked at or heard about the interview that Marc Cucurella gave to The Athletic. And while I'm not even a little bit surprised by this, like at all, that the top players at the club are starting to read the writing on the wall, are starting to really get frustrated, even though I'm just like, you I don't know if they did know what they were signing on to when they got these big contracts, and I'm sure they were told. I'm sure they were sold a vision. They were sold something when they signed. Obviously, we know that Cucurella came in because Pep Guardiola was after him. And if City wants him, of course, he's got to come to Chelsea, And so, it's been a bit bemusing to me to think that they were sold this dream, this plan by Blueco and the gang, that when they were sold this dream, I didn't think like that they should have known then. I feel like is where, but I guess money talks. Obviously it does. And when you look at that, such a huge contract, you kind of have to take it. You kind of can't turn it down. So I understand that as well, but when your players start coming out and saying things like this, when your players start, I've actually got it pulled up here, when the players themselves, and Cucurella isn't necessarily somebody that like speaks out or whatever, but he just straight up said it. When games matter, we are still a bit away from the top level. He said, I understand as part of the club's policy, they want to take the direction, signing young players and look at the future. But for all of us who are still here and want to win big things, moments like this make you feel discouraged. And he was talking after the Paris game. We have core players, foundations, but to fight for major trophies such as Premier League, Champions League, you need more. Signing young players might only complicate those goals. And against PSG, we lacked players that had gone through situations. You need time as well. I know the young players are the ones that will experience the future, but you need to find the balance of both worlds. And it's very obvious that they're not going to be doing that. It's so obvious that even the players now are coming out and are saying, man, oh man. He goes on in this interview to mention how Rossinier doesn't have any time to really practice their formation, get their philosophy, really drilled home because of how much they're playing game week in and week out, and he mentioned that with Maresca, they had a long time to get used to it. And maybe, just maybe, when they do get time to practice with Rossinier and drill, and like they should have this week, maybe in time things will start to turn around. But personally, I don't see much difference from the way Maresca played. What's up, Lumen? Thanks for always being here. Hope you're well. I don't personally see much difference in the way they played under Maresca, and even Cucurella mentioned how much they thought things were going well with Maresca. But yeah, he says here we were more stable because we worked together. And he mentions Arsenal. that they've been together almost 7 years, but that trust in the project gives rewards. That's the key line for me. That is the key line for me. But that trust in the project gives rewards. That should be the bombshell. That should be the red flag. That should be the oh shit moment. Because when you say something like that, it's clear that you don't trust the project you're a part of. It's clear that, there are misgivings and frustrations with the project that you're a part of. When you talk about another project that says, and then you say the trust that they have gives them rewards. When a manager gives you that confidence and offers you a platform to fight for titles, you die for him. Saying these things about the old manager, it's clear that they don't feel these things about the new manager. And of course, it will take time. It could take time to get there. But the thing is, they can see he's pointing out exactly the problem. He's, the players themselves can see the problem that's going on, and they understand that the policies that Blueco have, the policies that those running the club have, aren't good enough. And people like me, randoms, have been saying this for ages. People, maybe not necessarily pundits, but a lot of fan channels, a lot of rival fans. The writing's been on the wall. For me, the writing was on the wall when they fired Tommy Tuchel. Like, when an owner goes into the, all the way that far, I was like, oh, these new owners are absolute idiots. And I've kind of felt that way since then. And it's only reinforced, what's happened since then has only really reinforced my opinions on it, and it's clear as day here. The moment Maresca left, it had a big impact on us. These are decisions taken by the club. If you ask me, I would not have made this decision. To make a change like that, the best thing is to wait till the end of the season. You would give everyone, the players, new manager, time to get ready, have a full pre-season. The instability around the club comes from this in a nutshell. We had a caretaker first, then a new manager with new ideas and no time to work on them. The worst thing about this, too, obviously he's mentioned, he's inferred that he doesn't necessarily trust the project, but the biggest thing about it, and this is where most Chelsea fans are, I think, this is where, maybe not most of them, some of them, this is where things are, this is really damning at the end of it. He says, it is what it is. That right there tells you he knows nothing's changing. That right there tells you he knows for a fact, and he's already resigned to it, that nothing's going to change. And so I think it's finally dawning on the top talent there, the best players there. I think it's finally dawning on them that they've been duped. They've been strung along by a club, an ownership that doesn't have their best interests at heart. Certainly doesn't have winning at the forefront of their philosophy, of their strategy. And obviously the players want to win. That's why they're there, and they've noticed that what they're building is not good enough, straight up. And so that's why you have rumors of Cole Palmer wanting to leave. That's why Enzo Fernandez makes the comments he does to ESPN Argentina about he's not sure if he's going to be there in the next season. The one that for me that's kind of like makes you shake your head is that they got Reece James. They dug their claws into Reece James, and I understand he's a Chelsea man through and through, proper Chelsea, etc., all that crap. But I'm still shocked that he signed that contract, to be honest with you. And I think the biggest for me is probably his injury record. If you have a shitty injury record and a team gives you a 6-year deal, you got to snap. You got to take that. You got to take that. So Reece James, I understand that one. But I will be shocked if Cole Palmer signs another long-term deal, if Cucurella signs a long-term deal. I'll be shocked if Moises Caicedo signs another long-term deal. And this is the problem. This is where their project is going to implode. And Chelsea are going down a dark road, man. They're going down a dark, dark path. You know, I hate to say it, but they're going down the Tottenham road. They're going down a Tottenham path here, where it's like keep taking money, keep sticking with the strategy that clearly doesn't bring success, and fire anyone who speaks against it, and sack the manager when he looks up and says, "Yo, this is dumb. We need to do more. We need to change." Sacked immediately. So that's, I mean, and the players are starting to realize what's going on. And so don't be surprised if none of the big hitters at Chelsea re-sign. If they don't, Palmer will go, Cucurella will go, Caicedo will go, Enzo's going to go. It's the writing's on the wall for me. Because when the players start to realize that nothing will change and that it's going to be the same shit season after season after season, and they're, Cucurella said it. He said it. You have to buy bigger players. You have to buy players to help us win. And the model, I've heard it best floating around, obviously, on the Football Terrace. He said it. Terry said it, and I'm not sure where he got it from, but it's a good line. It's a good line when he says Chelsea are always a year away from being a year away. And with the model of only buying the young players, that year away is becoming 2 years, 2.5 years, becoming a couple seasons. So and then in 3 seasons, when all these people grow up and we've been together for however long, we're going to be good. But if you have no player retention, if you can't keep the big names because they realize what you're doing is to win in 5 years instead of to win now, 3, 4, 5 years from now, all these guys are going to be at the end of, they're going to be, if not at the end of their prime, they're going to be waning. You know what I mean? And so they're looking at their own careers and they're saying, oh shit, I could be stuck in a nothing project for the best part of the best years of my career. And you have to think that players are certainly thinking about that. Definitely thinking about that. I've always said that players should be grateful. Players should be, very happy, obviously, with the fact that they're getting paid ridiculous, stupid sums of money. But for these guys, that becomes a matter of course. It becomes a matter of fact. And as competitors, as people who want to push themselves and want to be the very best they can be, mired in mediocrity because of a club ownership that has winning 3, 4, 5th down the priority list is not where they want to be. That's just not what prime disciplined champions want to be. These players, yes, they're getting paid ridiculous sums of money, and there is a gratitude attached to just the simple fact that they are able to play this game for a living, of course. But also, like, when you're doing something, you want to do it to the best you can. You want to be the best you possibly can be, no matter what it is, whether that's me outside raking the yard or Marc Cucurella wanting to win the Champions League. Like, you just want to be the best you can be. And the players are realizing that they're not platformed to be the best they can be. It is what it is. When the board says things like the manager position doesn't actually have a huge effect on the team, like, it's baffling, and the players must feel like that's a slap in the face. The players have to feel like that's a slap in the face. He's called it out. Cucurella's called it out. The instability around the club comes from this in a nutshell. we had a caretaker, then a new manager with new ideas and no time to work on them. And he says it is what it is. That is resignation. That is, yep. Well, I know that the club ownership isn't going to change. The club tactics, strategy, philosophy isn't going to change. And the way he said it is what it is. It's like he's accepted the fact that, well, we won't ever get to really put the necessary time in with Liam Sr. And by the time we do, they'll probably fire him. That's like that. That is the mentality that is sinking in to the likes of Cucurella, Palmer, and don't be surprised. I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised if Caicedo doesn't sign that new deal. Do not be don't let yourself be surprised by that at all. If Reece James is the only one of the core players that actually extend. Reece James is a special case. He's got to think about his own career. You can't string a whole season together, but they're going to give you 6-year deal. Got to snap your hand up. Got to snap their hand off. Like you got to. But other than that, those are personal reasons. The people that want to win things, the players that want to, to actually be, elite and in the, conversations for some of the best around, they're not going to go to Chelsea. They can see it. You can see from the outside looking in, and now from this interview, from the inside, it's been opened up. They're realizing it, man. They're realizing that what everyone else has is that Blue Co is going to run them straight to hell. It's dark. It's really dark. This interview for me is just shining, a little bit of light on how dark it actually is at Chelsea Football Club. And I mean, I can't even, there's no point in me even saying, oh, I don't really see where it's going to turn around. It's not going to turn around. It's not. The board, the Blue Co, Bowley, the board, the powers that be have straight up said it's not going to change. We're going to continue to do what we're going to continue to do. And so when the board is just saying, maintain the line, stay the same, that's when you get interviews like this. That's when you get your own players coming out and saying, look, the board, they got it wrong. That's what he's saying. He's saying straight up, look, we need to change the project. It's a cry for help is really what it is. And I'm not Cucurella's biggest fan. So, it's like I have no sympathy whatsoever, to be honest with you. Objectively speaking, from a fan of the game, if I take my Arsenal hat off, from a fan of the game, I think it's horrendous. But also I think it's horrendous. I think plenty of owners are horrendous. I think the way the Glazers sucked money out of Manchester United after Sir Alex Ferguson left, and they've gone through their period of being shit. I think that they are probably turning it around. But, the Tottenham ownership has left them in shambles. They're a dumpster fire. Look at some of the clubs that are less prestigious that have really, like Wolves, for example. Wolves are being run straight to hell. It's the ownerships that have come in and don't have winning as the priority. The ownerships that come in and don't have football people making decisions is what causes shit like this. And so Blue Coats come in and they're trying to moneyball Chelsea like they did the LA Dodgers. This ain't baseball, man. This is not baseball. And at the end of the day, if you want to make money, if you want to increase the value of your asset, which is what Blue Co do. They are venture capitalists. Their entire business model is to buy low, sell high. Buy an asset, appreciate it, sell it. But they don't have any fucking clue how to appreciate assets in the world of football. It blows my mind. It's so simple. Win. Win. That's how you appreciate an asset. Win. And they don't get that. They don't get that because they don't understand what it takes to win in football, in this game. They don't understand it clearly. I don't know if I can think of a time where this strategy has ever worked. If you're going to do young players, the strategy that has worked from building around a young core is bringing them through the academy, is getting them young, like even younger than they are doing. Instead of spending 60 M's on Jamie Gittens, they're getting them 2-3 years earlier, like at Max Dowman's age, and they're getting them into the squad of the youth teams who play exactly like the first team. That's a big thing. Sir Alex Ferguson always had every Manchester United team through the ages playing the same way. Mikel Arteta and Per Mertesacker, before he left, had all of the youth teams playing the same way the first team plays. And that's very, that's one thing that's very important, very simple thing that's very important, but I don't know that the Chelsea hierarchy even give a shit about that, even care about that. So the way to be successful with youth is to bring them through the ranks, not just buy a bunch of young players and hope that it works out. Especially when you don't think, when you say things like the manager doesn't have much effect on the way things go. It's insane. It's absolute insanity. And, the definition of is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And that's what they're doing right now. They're literally insane. And the players are starting to realize it. The top players are starting to realize it. And when the best players at your club realize that you're not trying to win anymore, they're going to start looking for the door. Going to start looking for the exit. It's dark days over at Stamford Bridge, people. Check on your Chelsea friends because it's dark days at the bridge. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. That has been the Cup Chasers Daily. Of course, hope you are liking the content. Hope you are liking the series. So go ahead and smash up the likes if you are subscribed to the channel. If you are new, it'll be an honor, a pleasure, a privilege even to welcome you to the growing community. We are on our way to 500 subs. It certainly helps the channel you being here. And of course, I want to know what you're thinking in the comments section below. Your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, admonitions, deepest, darkest dreams and desires, all that good stuff down there in the comment section below. So once again, I appreciate you being here, and you will see me next time.